What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the channel. It's Andy here, your electric geek. This week I've got something a little different to my normal 4K Blu-ray reviews. Today, it is another review, but today we have in for review the Luminoodle TV and monitor bias lighting kit. So on the channel I also cover home cinema tech, and that's why today I've got this little piece of kit. I previously had a Luminoodle kit on an old Sony 4K TV that I used to have, but I ended up gifting it to mum and dad, and the Luminoodle went with it as well because it was attached to the back of the TV. So I've now got a 65-inch Sony in my home cinema room where I review my Blu-rays, and I decided to buy myself a bias light kit. I went for the Luminoodle because I had experience of it before and I thought it was a good product. I picked it up on Amazon for $39.99, and I went for the extra large version, as you can see, because I've got a 65-inch TV, and if you look at the back, the Power Electro recommend that if you've got anything between 60 to 80, then you need the XXL size. So that's why I went with that. There are various different sizes it comes in to fit whatever TV or monitor, gaming monitor you might be using. I've gone for the multicoloured kit here, but there is just a white light one, and then there's the Luminoodle Pro as well, which has a 650 Kelvin setting for the white light, which I'll get into in a bit, don't worry. So bias lighting. Yeah, this video is going to focus predominantly on the Luminoodle bias lighting kit, and I'll show you how to set that up and give you my thoughts on whether it's worth the money, how it performs, and whether or not ultimately I think I can recommend it and that you should pick it up or not. But I do want to just raise awareness for bias lighting in general. I think if you watch this channel, the chances are you enjoy watching movies in high quality, you enjoy getting close to the creator's intent, and just being immersed in making sure that you're getting the best out of your picture quality, whether that be watching movies or games. So bias lighting is a massive picture quality hack when it comes to that. If you're interested in picture quality and how to get the best out of your TV, then I have also done another basic introduction to all that stuff in another video, and if you're interested in watching that, then you can click this card at the top of the screen. If not, I'll leave a link at the bottom and in the description. Most people, I would say, probably have LED TVs, and probably middle of the road ones at that. It's probably pixel peepers and cinephiles like me that will spend that wee bit extra money to get the higher end tech. But if you've got an LED TV, whether it's a higher end or not, it's going to suffer from a bit of backlight bleed, and when you turn off all the lights and you watch your TV in a dark room, you are going to see those blacks start to turn a bit milky, get a bit grey, because the backlight comes through the TV, and when there's no bias lighting or other light in the room to offset it, it's really apparent in a dark room, and that's not a good thing, and it can be distracting and it takes you out of the film. So bias lighting is a cracking way to alleviate some of that and get around it. If you do have a lower to mid-range TV and you don't have the money or whatever, or you can't justify buying an OLED or something which has perfect blacks, which, hey, I totally get that. I'm in the same boat myself, hence I've bought myself a bias lighting kit. But anyway, bias lighting. So there's two main benefits of bias lighting. The first one I've kind of touched on, and that is picture quality enhancement, right? So obviously it doesn't actually do anything to your TV. It is basically just that it tricks your eye into thinking that the contrast is better. Now, how that happens, the best way I can describe it is with this image that I'm going to put on your screen now. If you look at this image, the grey bar in the middle, believe it or not, is the same colour all the way through. However, as you can see, depending on whether there's a dark background or a light background, completely changes your perception of that colour. But it's the same colour the whole way through. Just the same way when you put an image on your TV, it's the same, nothing's changing, it's just that you're changing the bias lighting or the backdrop, if you like. So when there's a lighter background behind it, as you can see in the image, all of a sudden that grey bar looks really dark, and then when it's a darker background behind it, all of a sudden it looks a bit lighter. And that's effectively what bias lighting is going to do to your picture quality. So when you're watching a film in classic letterbox format and you've maybe got a lower end LED TV, you turn it off, all of a sudden those black letterbox bars are going to look a bit milky, and then when it goes to a dark scene, it's really going to look flat and grey and just washed out. However, boom, you smack on a bit of bias lighting, and all of a sudden those blacks now have much more contrast against the backdrop of the bias lighting, and all of a sudden you've got nice inky blacks, a bit closer to what you'd expect from an OLED or a high-end LED TV. So for the sake of 40 quid or even cheaper, because I mean I'm talking about the Luminoodle here, but there are cheaper ones if your budget doesn't stretch that, or a DIY kit, anything, just some form of lighting behind the TV is going to really enhance your picture quality, and you should definitely do it. Consider doing it if you've got an LED TV. The second big thing when it comes to bias lighting is that it can reduce eye strain. So if you're someone who loves to binge the latest series, if you've been hammering Squid Game like I have on Netflix, or whatever your poison is, or you're a gamer and you've got a TV monitor or whatever, a gaming TV, and you're smashing out hours and hours of Warzone or whatever it is you're playing, Ghost of Tsushima for me at the moment, but you've probably been in the situation where you're staring at a TV and then all of a sudden it starts to water a bit, or you maybe get a sore head, or just your eyes get sore because you're staring at this really bright image, an unnaturally bright image, for such a long time. So when you're sitting in your home cinema room or your living room, wherever it is, and you've got all the lights off because it's movie night, or you're sitting gaming with the lights off, whatever, you've got that really, really bright, unnaturally bright rectangle box TV sitting there, monitor, whatever it is, and your brain knows that it's in a dark room, but it's confused because your eyes are taking in this really bright image. So the eyes are working harder than they should be, and that's what causes the eye strain and for them to be fatigued. Hence, in steps bias lighting, because it's obviously behind the TV and it's bouncing off the wall back to you. So you're getting it kind of third hand, and therefore it's not going to tire you out, and it's not going to take away from the image quality. And I know I said there was only 2 points, but I suppose the third and final kind of bonus point is that it looks nice. If you buy one like I've bought that's got the different colours, if you have people over, whatever, it can be a nice feature in your living room. It can look smart. If you're using the TV for music and stuff, then you can put it on the crossfade, and you can have that kind of disco effect if you're that way inclined. But yeah, so aesthetically it just looks nicer, and it can maybe alleviate some problems with the missus or your partner if they're not too keen on the massive TV you bought for the living room, if there's some pretty lights behind it. So give it a try. So it comes in this wee pouch from Power Electrical. So opening up, so look what we've got. That's everything. Let's put that to the side. Okay, so it comes in this movie reel-like storage container. I'm not sure if you remote control. To the side. As I say, yeah, it comes in this reel here, which is handy. As you'll see later on when I go to put it onto the telly, you can keep it all compact in there and you just can pull it out as you need. And then at the end you can just snip off any excess, and that's your inline remote control there, probably for the brightness and for pairing. So from Amazon, and then your little instructions. I've already had a wee swatch through these. This is the second time I've put a Luminoodle product onto a TV, so I'm pretty clued up on what needs to happen. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward, and I'll take some pictures of that and put them up for you. It needs to be 10 centimetres from the edge of your TV. Your TV does need to have at least a 5 volt, 1 amp USB input to power it. If not, then you'll have to buy the separate USB power adapter that's sold separately. Right guys, so I've got the TV off the wall now, thanks to my dad nipping over and giving me a hand with it earlier. As I say, it was wall mounted through there, so it would just have been a total faff for me to try and like feed that LED strip round about. It probably could have been done, but for the sake of the video, it's easier to do this anyway. So I thought, you know, get it off, that we've got plenty of space to do it, and make sure it's even and it's exactly where it needs to be. So I've got a 65-inch TV. The options are, you can pretty much go, as far as Luminoodle are concerned, you can pretty much go top, left and right, and you don't have to do the bottom. Which I suppose if you've got it on a TV stand, kind of like, I've got this as a dining table obviously, but if you've got it like that, I kind of get that, because the wall, you're only going to really be able to see the wall to the left and to the top of the TV, so that makes total sense. It makes save you a bit of money. Also, if you're further away from the wall, if your TV's sitting on a TV stand and it's a good bit away from the wall, then you don't need an abundance of lights because it's got space to travel. So you could even just have one strip if it's a DIY job, or if you find a cheaper product, that's definitely an option for you. In my case though, the TV through there in the home cinema room is pretty flush to the wall, so I was concerned that I might not get enough of an effect, so I thought, you know what, see, for the extra tenner, I'm just going to buy the 4-sided, or enough length to get the 4 sides. So I'm going to go for top, bottom, and obviously left and right, and therefore I should get a nice light effect right around when the TV's floating up on the wall. So as the instructions suggest, with a damp microfiber cloth, just go over the back of the TV, just make sure, mine was totally manky because it's been up on a wall, obviously all the dust, just make sure it's clean, there's all the dust, and anything that's going to stop the LED lights from sticking is off. paying particular attention obviously to the outsides of the telly. So I've already done that, but just for the purpose of demonstration, up and down the sides, and just make sure it's nice and clean. Because what will happen is the LED lights will heat up obviously, as will your TV. If you ever touch the back of your TV when it's been on for a few hours, it's usually absolutely piping. So that's going to potentially melt some adhesive. So if you've already got, and it will weaken it, so if you've already got debris and shit in there, then it's just going to make it more likely that it might fall off. So make sure your telly's nice and clean before you put it on, and that should hopefully negate that from happening. So once you've gone over your TV and you've got that nice and clean, the next pretty important thing I would suggest you want to pay particular attention to is, where are you going to start? So obviously here I've got it out of the packaging now, and you can see, so you've got the USB end here, and on my TV it's allocated, or the 5V port is allocated on the right hand side of the TV. So obviously I'm going to start there because that makes the most sense to me anyway, is to plug that in there like so. And once that's in, then you've got to consider, none of this isn't adhesive here. So it doesn't start, you can see the red 3M strip there, it doesn't start until here. So this can't really be secured by the product itself. What I did on my previous TV was I just used a bit of sellotape and just sellotaped it on, because it flapping about and sometimes appearing to the outside of the screen, it was not good for my OCD when it comes to home cinema stuff, so it needed to get sellotaped, and that's what happened. So that's maybe something you could do yourself, but I think I'll probably get away with it here by just starting low. So I've plugged it in there, start it low, let it just naturally hang down, and then I think once that's stuck on there and I start feeding it across, it's not going to travel much further than that. Also, you've got to consider, if it's on a TV stand in your room and it's easy for you to reach behind and get that inline control, then it doesn't really matter where it goes. But in my case, it's really difficult to access the rear of the TV, so I kind of want it to be in that region, so that with the gap there is at the side, I can't, if I need to access that for some reason, I can do that easily enough. So that's definitely something you need to think about before you plan your route. But anyway, let's get it stuck to the TV and let's see the results. Going quite smoothly so far. Now would seem like a good time to plug the electric geek mug that superfan Marty Houston got me. Like and subscribe guys if you're enjoying the video so far. So pretty straightforward, a fairly easy enough job, and I've done no bad there. I think it's pretty even, and it was pretty much hassle free. The only thing I would say is that the corners are a little bit tricky, but you just fold it back in itself, and once you can do the first one, you get the technique and it's easy enough to go round, and they're all pretty secure. So yeah, no real issues there. Pretty foolproof, if I'm honest. If I can do it, anyone can do it. So just once you get to the end, just cut where it says you can cut basically, and then that's it. Tidy things up, stick that bit down, and that's it. All on, good to go. So, like I say, yeah, corners are a bit tricky, but no major issue. What I probably should have said at the beginning is, when you're planning your route, obviously, this is the Sony XH90, and it's got a pretty simplistic, sleek back to it. So I can only speak for Sony TVs. I'm a bit of a Sony fanboy, but other TVs might have more eccentric or a wee bit more difficult to navigate backings, but this one was straightforward, so it was nice and easy. But just bear that in mind. Don't start and then get caught halfway and realise it's not going to happen. Make sure you have planned, especially if the back of your TV is a bit difficult. Okay, so I've got the LED lights fitted now, and I've obviously flipped the TV back round towards the camera, and I've stuck Blade Runner 2049 and my PlayStation 5 is just hooked up, just to give you an image for some reference here. So there's no lighting on at the moment, and obviously now I'm going to turn it on, and there you have your backlight. So it has 15 different colours, the Luminoodle. I'll put them up on the screen just now to give you a point of reference. And there's also shortcuts on the remote to the primary ones and to the white settings. There's a brightness setting, a colour cycle, a mode button, and speed buttons to speed up how quickly the crossfade happens or slow it down to your liking. I don't know why you would want, to be honest, crossfade on though, because to me it just looks mental, like a party going on in the back. Which I suppose maybe if you're using your TV to play music at a party or something, it maybe it's Christmas or something, but other than that, I don't know why you would use that. I would just have it on a solid colour. But this is quite a bright scene, so it gives the illusion that the black bars at the top of the screen are black anyway, but certainly when I'm looking at it towards the corners, I can see that they're a bit grey, because as much as this TV is good, a good LED, it has full array local dimming technology in it, which means it can dim the darker scenes to do the best it can. But it definitely looks better to my eye when it's got a reference bias lighting at the back, just to give that illusion that it seems darker than it is, and the whole image just looks much more contrasty. I don't know if you can quite pick that up on the TV, but I'm hoping it'll be better when I get it all mounted, and then I can show you what it actually looks like when it's actually in my home cinema setup. Okay, so now I've moved the TV back through to the home cinema room, and I've got it placed up in the wall again between my speaker setup. I've got Blade Runner 2049 back on for reference, this time playing through the Sony UBP-X700 dedicated player. Not that it makes much difference, but just for your information. And you'll notice when I turn on the backlight, boom, there we go, bias lighting. Got it set to blue because, as I mentioned earlier, I like to keep it colour coded, but you can have it in a more neutral white setting. As I say, there's 15 different colour presets, as I mentioned earlier, just flicking through them, but we'll put it on blue just for just now. And I should mention that it is a feature of the Luminoodle that it powers on automatically with your TV. So as soon as you turn the TV on, there's obviously power to the USB port, and it just comes on nicely for whenever you're about to start using your TV. However, some TVs, like the Sony ones, the one I've got here for example, supply power constantly to the USB port, so it kind of makes that function non-viable, as when you power down your TV, it'll just remain on. But it's just a case of then using the remote to turn it off and back on as you need to, or with the inline control at the back of the TV. Bit of an inconvenience, but not a deal breaker, and it's probably just going to affect, as I say, TVs that always supply power to the USB port, so not a massive issue. I think it looks great in the room. I'm not sure if you notice any difference in the contrast when I jump between. I appreciate that's just because of potentially the way I've filmed it, although I haven't made any difference, although I haven't made any alterations to the settings on the camera. But certainly to my eye here in person, it definitely makes the black bars at the top of the screen a lot deeper, more inky, and the contrast and the whole image is just better. It's easier on the eye with the bias lighting in the backdrop also. This is quite a small room I've got, and it's currently got white walls, so it's actually given the whole room quite a nice ambient light, which is a bit of a side effect I didn't expect, but it's much appreciated. I think you'll agree that it's definitely aesthetically very pleasing. It definitely, when I'm standing here now, boosts the picture quality. It just is the cherry on top for me and the setup. And even as I'm trying to record this part of the video, I'm getting a bit distracted and sucked into the film, so it's definitely a bit more immersive. Hopefully by now I've sold you on bias lighting and why it's a good thing to have on your TV or your gaming monitor. I'm certainly very happy with the Luminoodle. I'm glad I went for it the second time, and I'm really looking forward to using it in the home cinema room now that I've got it back up on the wall and I can start watching my films with it. So the Luminoodle that I got was the XXL, and it's currently $39.99 on Amazon. I will leave, just because that's the one that I've actually used in the video, I will leave a link in the description for that specific one. But if you follow that link, it will take you to the wider range of them. You can obviously pick the one that's most suitable for you. I think the Luminoodle is an excellent bias lighting kit. I think it's a good middle of the road product. It's good quality. The remote's really good. It's got all different colour settings, 15 as I went over earlier. You can crossfade them, you can change the speed. It comes on and off automatically with most TVs, not mine unfortunately, but hey ho. And I just think it's a good all-rounder. It's a good middle of the road one. There are ones that are more expensive and there's ones that are cheaper, but I think you'll be pretty safe should you go with the Luminoodle, and it's not going to break the bank, and I think the benefits of it are clear to see. So for the Luminoodle bias lighting kit, I'm going to give it 4.5 out of 5. I would give it 5 out of 5, but I'm just a little bit miffed because the auto on and off doesn't work with my Sony TV. It's maybe not their fault, but I'm doing it. I'm knocking half a pint off it. Sort it out, Luminoodle. So that wraps up this video. I hope you've now got a good idea of what bias lighting is and that you're totally sold on it. If you are, hit it up in the comments. Let me know if you went for the Luminoodle or whatever it is. If you already have it, let me know. Do you think it's worthwhile? If you haven't got it, I hope it encourages you to go out and set up some bias lighting yourselves. Just before I go, all I'll ask is that if you've enjoyed the video today, please help me out and give it a wee like. It helps promote the video and gets it to other like-minded people. And if you're interested in seeing what content I have coming up, and I do have plenty of other content planned all around 4K, Blu-ray, home cinema and gaming, then hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. Alright, thanks again for watching. I'm your Electric Geek Andy. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.